The early spring wind rolled across the Alaskan wilderness, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth as it whispered through the towering trees surrounding Reynolds Ranch. The land stretched endlessly beyond the valley, rugged and untouched, where the only sounds were the distant cry of a hawk and the gentle rustling of leaves. From the worn wooden porch of his cabin, Jack Reynolds stood, cradling a steaming cup of coffee in his calloused hands. He was a man carved by the land itself, tall, broad-shouldered, with weathered skin and tired blue eyes that had seen more winters than he cared to count. At 53, Jack had lived his entire life here in the Kenai Peninsula, in a home his father had built with his own hands. Life had never been easy in this part of the world. The winters were brutal, the summers short, and the work never ending. But Jack wouldn't trade it for anything. There was a kind of peace in the rhythm of it, in the early morning chores, in the scent of fresh-cut hay, in the feel of the earth beneath his boots. Behind him, his wife, Linda, emerged from the house, shaking out a linen sheet before pinning it to the clothesline. She had the kind of strength that wasn't loud or demanding, but steady, the kind that held a family together when things got hard. "Do you ever get tired of staring out at nothing?" she teased, glancing up from her work. Jack took a slow sip of coffee, his gaze fixed on the open field. "Not nothing," he said. "Just taking it all in." A burst of childish laughter rang through the air, drawing their attention to the little boy racing across the yard, his tiny boots kicking up patches of soft earth. Ethan Reynolds, their 3-year-old son, was their greatest miracle. Born after years of heartbreak and prayers that went unanswered, Ethan had changed everything. He had his mother's dark curls and quick smile, his father's stubborn streak and boundless curiosity. "Ethan, don't go too far," Linda called as he wandered toward the old woodpile near the barn, a battered stuffed rabbit clutched in one small hand. "Yes, Mama," he called back, but his feet kept moving, his little world too full of adventure to stop now. Jack watched him, a faint smile tugging at his lips. There was something about seeing the world through a child's eyes, how even the most ordinary things became grand discoveries. A rock was a hidden treasure, a tree was a castle, and the wind carried secrets only he could hear. Jack had spent his whole life tending this land, but in moments like this, it felt new again. But what Jack didn't see, what none of them saw, was that someone else was watching, too. In the shadows beyond the open field, a black and white border collie lay low, his sharp amber eyes locked onto the child. Scout had been watching this family for weeks. The dog was lean, his ribs faintly visible beneath his thick coat, matted and tangled from years of surviving alone. Once, long ago, he had belonged to someone. He had been part of something, a sled team, a pack, a purpose. But that life was gone now, and he had long since stopped waiting for it to return. Out here, the wild had taught him how to stay hidden, how to survive, how to trust no one. And yet, he hadn't left. He should have moved on weeks ago, traveled deeper into the forest, found an easier place to exist. But something about this place, this family, this child, it kept him near. He didn't understand why. But he stayed. And now, as the boy neared the stacked woodpile, Scout's body went rigid. Something was wrong. A scent drifted on the wind, something familiar, something dangerous. Scout didn't need to see it to know what lay coiled in the shadows beneath the logs. His fur bristled, instincts roaring to life. The child was too close. In a heartbeat, Scout moved. There was no time for hesitation, no time to think. Only time to act. Jack had barely set his coffee down when a blur of black and white shot across the yard. It was so fast, so sudden, that his mind struggled to make sense of it. A dog, lean, wild-looking, racing straight toward Ethan. "Ethan!" Linda's scream tore Jack's instincts kicked in. He was already moving, his boots pounding against the hard-packed earth. His hand reached for the hunting knife strapped to his belt, his breath coming in sharp bursts. But before he could close the distance, the dog lunged, not at Ethan, but past him. A blur of motion, a sharp, guttural snarl. Then a sound that made Jack's blood run cold, a distinct, menacing rattle. The woodpile erupted as a thick-bodied snake twisted violently, its tail shaking in a furious warning. Jack barely had time to register it before the dog struck first. With a precision honed by instinct, the dog snapped its powerful jaws around the rattlesnake's body, dragging it away from Ethan before it could strike. The snake lashed, quilling, its fangs flashing in the morning light. Jack was there in an instant. His knife flashed, swift and sure, and in one clean motion, the snake went limp. A terrible silence followed. Ethan had fallen onto the dirt, his stuffed rabbit a few feet away, his wide brown eyes filled with confusion rather than fear. Linda dropped to her knees, gathering him in her arms, whispering frantic words of comfort. Jack's gaze shifted to the dog standing just beyond them. It was a border collie, though its thick coat was matted with dirt, its ribs faintly visible beneath black and white fur. It was wild, but it hadn't always been. The dog stood still, watching them with intelligent amber eyes, tail low, muscles tense, as if expecting to be chased away. Jack took a slow step forward, the reality of what had just happened sinking in. The dog had saved Ethan. Not attacked him. Not threatened him. Protected him. Jack knew animals, had spent his life working alongside them. He had seen dogs raised as nothing more than tools, treated as disposable when they were no longer useful. He had seen loyalty repaid with cruelty. And looking at the dog before him, he knew this one had been left behind. "Easy, boy," Jack said softly. The dog flinched but didn't run. Jack knelt, careful not to move too fast. He could see the faint scar on the dog's foreleg, an old wound that had healed poorly, and the way he favored one side, an injury left unattended. Someone had abandoned him. Jack exhaled slowly, his breath clouding in the cool morning air. He wasn't sure what made him do it. Maybe it was gratitude, maybe it was something deeper, but he reached out a hand. The dog hesitated. Then, cautiously, he took a step forward. That night, the dog lay curled up in the old storage shed behind the barn, his body tense, but his eyes tracking every sound. Jack sat on an overturned crate a few feet away, arms resting on his knees, watching the dog in the dim glow of a lantern. Linda had been hesitant at first. "Jack, we don't know anything about that dog," she'd said as she tucked Ethan into bed. "He could be dangerous." Jack had simply shaken his head. A dangerous dog doesn't throw itself between a child and a rattler. Linda had softened at that. "So what now?" Jack had only shrugged. "He stays the night. I'll see what he does come morning." But the truth was, Jack already knew. He had spent years reading animals, understanding their movements, their fears, their trust, or lack of it. And this dog wasn't aggressive. He wasn't looking for trouble. He had just needed someone to give him a chance. Jack tossed a small chunk of cooked venison onto the floor of the shed, just within reach of the dog's nose. The dog lifted his head slightly, sniffing the air, but made no move to take it. "Go on," Jack murmured. "No tricks. Just food." The dog hesitated for a long moment. Then, cautiously, he crept forward on his belly, his muscles coiled like a spring. His movements were careful, as if he had been punished before for taking what wasn't his. He sniffed the meat once, then snatched it up and swallowed it whole. Jack smiled faintly. "Figured you'd be hungry." The dog eyed him warily, then lowered his head back onto his paws. Jack leaned back, staring at the dark ceiling of the shed. They weren't friends, not yet. But they weren't enemies, either. And in a way he couldn't quite explain, Jack knew the dog wouldn't leave. Not yet. Not after today. The morning was quiet, peaceful in the way only early spring in Alaska could be. The sun was finally stretching its golden light across the land after a long, bitter winter. Jack sat on the porch, a fresh cup of coffee in his hands, watching as Ethan played near the barn, his small boots kicking up dirt as he ran in uneven circles. It should have been a perfect morning. Then Scout bolted from the woods. A black and white blur streaked across the field, moving faster than Jack had ever seen. Straight toward Ethan. Jack's heartbeat slammed in his chest. "Ethan!" Linda's scream shattered the morning stillness. The coffee cup tumbled from Jack's hands, shattering against the porch as he lunged to his feet. His instincts roared to life. He had let his guard down. He had let that stray dog get too close to their son. And now, it was coming for him. Scout's muscles bunched, his paws barely touching the ground as he closed the distance in seconds. Jack was running, his pulse a hammer in his ears. But before he could reach them, before he could stop it, Scout grabbed Ethan's overalls in his teeth and yanked. The force of it sent Ethan toppling backward, his stuffed rabbit flying from his grip as he landed hard in the dirt. Linda sobbed out a cry of horror. Jack's hand flew to the knife at his belt. Then he saw it. A sound, a sharp, rapid rattle, cut through the air. Jack's eyes dropped to the woodpile beside Ethan, and everything inside him went cold. Coiled beneath the logs, just inches from where Ethan had stood, was a massive rattlesnake. The thick-bodied serpent had been completely camouflaged against the woodpile, lying in wait in the morning sun. But now, with Ethan's sudden movement, it had raised its head, fangs exposed, poised to strike. Jack hadn't seen it. Linda hadn't seen it. But Scout had. And Scout had saved their son. The rattlesnake lunged. Scout snarled and lunged back, placing his body between Ethan and the snake, his teeth bared. His hackles stood on end, his entire body trembling with the force of his growl. The snake, sensing the threat, coiled back. Its rattle vibrated faster, a warning, back off or face the consequences. Jack ripped his rifle from where it leaned by the porch and swung it up. But before he could take the shot, the snake did something unexpected. Instead of striking, it slithered back into the shadows, disappearing beneath the logs. Only when the sound of its rattle faded completely did Scout lower his stance. His body still trembled, his breath coming fast, but he did not move until the danger had passed. Jack stood frozen, his rifle still raised, staring at the dog who had just risked his life for their son. Silence settled over the yard, thick and heavy, as the reality of what had just happened sank in. Linda knelt in the dirt, clutching Ethan close to her chest. The boy was crying now, shaken but unharmed. Through his hiccuping sobs, Ethan lifted his tear-streaked face and reached for Scout. "My hero dog," Ethan whispered. Jack lowered his rifle slowly, his heartbeat still hammering in his ears. Scout stood where he was, his body tense, his amber eyes flickering between Jack and Linda. He did not approach the child he had just saved. Instead, as if unsure of his welcome, he turned and began to limp away. Jack's gaze dropped to Scout's leg. The old wound from his past injury had split open again. Blood stained the white fur of his paw. The dog took another step, favoring the leg, then another. He was leaving. Jack swallowed hard. Wait. The word was barely more than a breath, but Scout paused. Jack had spent his whole life understanding animals. Their fear. Their instincts. Their quiet, unspoken loyalties. And he knew, without a doubt, that this dog had no reason to come back. He had been abandoned before. Left behind. Thrown away. And yet, he had saved Ethan anyway. Jack exhaled, long and slow. "Linda," he said softly, not taking his eyes off Scout. She looked up, her arms still wrapped around Ethan. Jack's voice was steady when he spoke. "He's not going anywhere." The evening air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the kind of crisp coolness that settled deep into the bones. The last rays of daylight stretched long across the Alaskan wilderness, casting shadows that flickered like ghosts across the land. Jack sat on the porch, his rifle balanced across his lap, though he had no intention of using it tonight. His gaze was distant, fixed on the fading light beyond the treetops, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. Scout was out there. Hurt. Alone. Bleeding. The dog could have run after saving Ethan. He could have disappeared back into the wild where he had spent the past few years surviving. But he hadn't. He had lingered, looking back, as if waiting for something. As if unsure whether this time, finally, someone would come for him. Jack exhaled slowly, tapping his fingers against the wood grain of his rifle stock. He already knew what he had to do. Behind him, the screen door creaked open. Linda stepped onto the porch, arms folded against the cold. She had been watching him for the past hour, saying nothing, waiting. She knew him too well. She knew when his silence meant more than words ever could. Finally, she spoke. "You're going after him, aren't you?" Jack didn't look at her. Instead, he studied the darkening forest, his voice low, firm. "After what he did for Ethan, I can't let him suffer alone." Linda let out a quiet breath, nodding. "I'd do the same," she said simply. Jack looked at her then, gratitude flickering in his tired blue eyes. No more words were needed. He stood, slinging his rifle over his shoulder, grabbed a lantern, and stepped off the porch. Then he disappeared into the trees. The forest swallowed Jack whole, the sounds of the ranch fading behind him as he pressed deeper into the wild. The sky darkened, the temperature dropped, but he didn't turn back. Scout's paw prints were faint in the soft earth, nearly lost in the undergrowth. A lesser man might have missed them, but Jack had spent his life tracking cattle through miles of untamed land. He followed the trail for hours, moving through thick brush, across a narrow creek, up a ridge where the trees grew dense and old. The further he went, the quieter the world became. Then, finally, he found him. Scout lay curled beneath an outcropping of rock, just inside the mouth of a shallow cave, his black and white coat blending into the shadows. He was breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling in uneven bursts. His wounded leg was stretched out stiffly, fresh blood darkening the fur near his paw. Jack approached slowly, careful not to startle him. The last thing he wanted was for Scout to run. He crouched a few feet away, setting down his lantern so the warm light flickered across the cave walls. "I figured you'd come this way, boy," he murmured. Scout's amber eyes snapped open, sharp and alert. His lips curled slightly, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Jack didn't move. "I know," he said softly. "You're not used to anyone coming back for you. But I ain't leaving you out here to die." Scout's growl faded into silence, but his body remained tense. Jack reached into his coat, pulling out a strip of venison from his pocket, the same meat Linda had packed him for dinner. He tossed it just within reach. Scout hesitated. Then, cautiously, he sniffed the air, inching forward just enough to snatch the meat in his jaws. Jack took that as his cue. He moved carefully, his hands steady as he reached for the wound on Scout's leg. The dog stiffened but did not pull away. Jack worked quickly, cleaning the gash, wrapping it tight with the bandages he had brought. He had done this countless times before, for injured cattle, for stray dogs, once even for himself. Scout let out a soft whimper, flinching slightly. "I know it hurts," Jack said. "But this'll help." For a long moment, they stayed there, man and dog, alone in the stillness of the cave. And then, something shifted. The fight in Scout eased. His body relaxed, just slightly, his amber eyes watching Jack, not with fear, but with something softer. Something like trust. Jack leaned back on his heels, nodding to himself. "That's better," he muttered. Then, as he stood, he gestured toward the trees. "Come on, boy. Let's go home." Scout didn't move at first. But as Jack turned to leave, stepping back toward the path he had come from, he heard the quietest sound, a soft rustle behind him. He smiled. Scout was following. Scout followed Jack back through the forest that night, his gait slow, his wounded leg stiff, but he never once turned away. Jack didn't push him. He didn't call or coax. He just walked, knowing that if Scout wanted to come, he would. By the time they reached the ranch, the moon had risen, casting a pale silver glow over the land. Linda met them on the porch, her eyes soft with quiet understanding as she took in the sight of Jack with the dog trailing just a few steps behind. Jack didn't try to bring Scout inside. He didn't even try to make him stay. Some creatures weren't meant to be tamed, and he understood that. But come morning, when Jack stepped onto the porch with a plate of food and fresh bandages, Scout was still there, watching from a safe distance. Jack sat down on the porch steps, setting the plate down within reach before turning his attention to his morning coffee. He didn't talk to Scout like a pet, he spoke to him like an old friend, the way he might have once spoken to another rancher after a long day's work. "You were right about the snake," he muttered, staring at the horizon. "Almost didn't see it myself." Scout didn't move at first, but after a long moment, he crept forward, sniffing the food before eating. Jack watched him out of the corner of his eye, taking another sip of coffee. This became their routine. Every morning, Jack left food. Every evening, he checked Scout's wound, cleaned the bandage, and spoke in that same even voice. Scout didn't always listen. Sometimes he sat near the barn, watching the cattle, or disappeared into the woods for hours before returning at dusk. But he always came back. And slowly, the gap between them closed. Days turned to weeks, and by the time Scout's leg had fully healed, he had become a presence on the ranch. He wasn't a pet, not in the way a house dog was. He didn't sleep inside, didn't beg for attention, didn't obey commands. But he stayed. Some mornings, Jack would find him trotting along the fence line, scanning the land with those sharp amber eyes. Other times, he would sit near the barn, watching Ethan play from a safe distance, his ears twitching at the boys' laughter. Jack never tried to put a leash on him, never expected him to change. Scout had already given them his trust in the only way he knew how, by being there. And then one evening, as Jack sat on the porch, watching the sun sink below the mountains, Scout walked up to him. Not cautiously, not hesitantly. Just walked up, paused for a moment, and then gently pressed his head against Jack's palm. It lasted only an instant. A moment, nothing more. Then Scout turned and padded back toward the tree line, disappearing into the shadows. Jack sat there, his hand still hovering in the air where Scout had touched him. He exhaled, a slow smile pulling at the corner of his mouth. "You're welcome, boy," he murmured. And he knew, without a doubt, that Scout had just said thank you. The winter came hard that year. By late November, the Kenai Peninsula was buried under a thick sheet of snow, the winds howling through the valley with an unrelenting fury. The cold crept into everything, freezing troughs solid overnight, snapping brittle tree branches under the weight of ice. Jack had seen plenty of Alaskan winters, but even he knew this storm was worse than most. By the time evening fell, the wind had turned vicious, screaming against the walls of the house, rattling the windows as if demanding to be let in. Outside, the world was a swirling blur of white, the snow falling so thick Jack couldn't even see the barn from the porch. He had spent the better part of the afternoon securing the livestock, making sure every gate was latched, every door bolted tight against the storm. The cattle were restless, the horses uneasy, a bad omen if there ever was one. By the time he stepped back inside, stamping the snow from his boots, Linda already had the wood stove roaring, its heat battling against the chill. "It's going to be a bad one," Jack muttered, unwrapping his scarf. Linda handed him a cup of coffee, her face tight with worry. "You sure everything's locked down?" Jack nodded, his muscles aching from the long day of work. "They're safe. We'll ride it out." Then, just as he took his first sip of coffee, a sound cut through the wind. A scratching noise. Faint at first, then more insistent. Jack froze, his brow furrowing. He turned toward the back door, listening. There it was again. Scratch. Scratch. Whine. Linda stiffened, setting down her cup. What on earth? Jack was already moving. He unlatched the door and pulled it open, bracing himself against the force of the wind. The cold slammed into him like a fist, stealing his breath. And there, in the swirling snow, stood Scout. Scout was covered in frost, his black and white fur crusted with ice. His ears were pinned back, his tail low, his breath coming in fast, cloudy bursts. But it was his eyes, wide, desperate, that sent a chill through Jack that had nothing to do with the storm. Scout let out a sharp whine, then turned, bounding a few steps into the snow before looking back. Jack didn't hesitate. "Linda, get blankets ready." "I'll be back," he shouted over the wind. Linda's voice was tight with fear. "Jack, don't you dare go out in that storm. You'll get lost." But he was already grabbing his coat, his flashlight, his gloves. He knew Scout wasn't calling him for nothing. The dog was leading him somewhere, and Jack knew, deep in his gut, that it was urgent. Scout plunged into the blizzard, and Jack followed. The cold was brutal, cutting through his layers like a knife. The wind howled in his ears, drowning out everything but the sound of his own breath. He could barely see a few feet ahead, but Scout never faltered. They crossed the pasture, moving past the tree line, deeper into the wild. Then Scout stopped. Jack nearly stumbled, his breath burning in his lungs. The dog was standing beside a fallen tree, half buried in snow. And then, he heard it. A whimper. Faint. Weak. But unmistakable. Jack's heart slammed into his ribs. He dropped to his knees, tearing at the snow with his bare hands. And there, beneath the tree, barely visible against the frost, was a child. Jack dug faster, his pulse pounding in his ears. The little girl was curled into a tight ball, her face blue with cold, her tiny body shivering violently. "Jesus," Jack breathed. "Hang on, sweetheart. I've got you." He wrapped her in his coat, pressing her close to his chest, shielding her from the wind. She let out a soft, broken sob, her breath barely a whisper against his shoulder. "You're okay. You're okay, kiddo." Scout stood panting beside them, his breath heaving, his fur soaked with snow, but his eyes never left Jack's face. Jack didn't waste another second. He rose to his feet and ran. The journey back was a blur. His boots sank deep into the snow with every step, his arms tightening around the fragile weight in his coat. The storm fought him, pushed against him, but he didn't stop. Then, finally, the house came into view. Linda was already at the door, her face pale as she rushed forward. "Oh my God, Jack! Get her inside. Get her warm." Jack gasped, his legs barely holding him upright as he stumbled onto the porch. Linda took the child from his arms, wrapping her in blankets, her voice thick with shock. "Who is she?" Jack looked at Scout, still standing in the snow. "Whoever she is, Scout just saved her life." The next morning, after the storm had passed, the sheriff arrived. They learned the little girl's name was Sophie Parker, and she had been missing for nearly 8 hours, lost in the storm after wandering too far from her family's cabin. "If you hadn't found her when you did," the sheriff told Jack, shaking his head, "she wouldn't have survived the night." Jack looked down at Scout, who lay beside the wood stove, his fur finally dry, his amber eyes watching Jack with quiet knowing. "Wasn't me, Sheriff," Jack murmured. "It was him." The storm passed, leaving behind a land covered in thick, undisturbed snow. The sky was a bright, cloudless blue, and the world felt strangely still, as if holding its breath after the chaos of the night before. Inside the warm cabin, Sophie Parker slept soundly, wrapped in thick blankets, her tiny hands curled beneath her chin. She was safe now. The sheriff had promised to take her home once the roads cleared, but for now, she was exactly where she needed to be. Jack sat near the wood stove, a cup of coffee in hand, watching the fire crackle. Across from him, Scout lay stretched out on the rug, his fur finally dry, his body relaxed. Jack knew he wouldn't stay. Scout was a wanderer, a creature of the wild, never meant to be tied to one place. He had given them his trust, his loyalty, and his courage when it mattered most. And soon, he would be gone. That night, as Jack stepped onto the porch, he saw him. At the edge of the tree line, where the land met the forest, Scout sat in the moonlight, his amber eyes fixed on the house. They held each other's gaze for a long moment. Jack didn't call him. He didn't need to. Instead, he lifted his hand in a slow, silent farewell. Scout flicked his ears, then rose to his feet and turned, disappearing into the trees without a sound. Jack stood there for a while, watching the darkness, his breath a faint cloud in the cold air. Scout was gone. But somehow, Jack knew he would never be too far away. Years passed, and Ethan grew up on stories of his hero dog. He would sit on his father's knee, listening wide-eyed as Jack told him about the dog that had saved his life, not once, but twice. And every now and then, on the quietest evenings, Jack would catch a glimpse of a shadow moving along the tree line. A flick of black and white fur. A silent guardian, still watching. Jack had once believed that animals were just animals, nothing more. But Scout had taught him otherwise. Loyalty, once given, never fades. And kindness, once offered, is never wasted. Sometimes, it comes back when you least expect it.